Hi, everybody. Wait for everybody to kind of start logging on here. So back to doing Q&As. Don't mind my animals back there. I'm sure the cat will join me here in a minute. He usually does. So this Q&A is pretty simple. I think if you guys haven't attended a Q&A before with me, I don't do personal readings. But I am here to help you answer any of those weird questions that you might have, or any metaphysical, spiritual, like I said, weird questions that you might have. I will let you know that on July 20th, I'm going to be having an Angel and Spirit Guides workshop. That's going to be $25. And if you sign up for that, you will get the recording as well. And then same with on the 22nd, on July 22nd, there is a meditation workshop too. So if you feel inclined to learn more about spirit guides and angels and meditation, I've got stuff coming up that'll be great. So but yeah, if you guys haven't ever attended one of these, all you have to do is just simply put down some questions and I will help you answer those questions. Like I said, I won't be doing any personal readings, but I'm here all about for you guys to help answer some questions. So it was one of those days where I've been quite literally running around all over, and I look up and I'm like, I haven't gotten ready yet. So I'm like, here's up in a ponytail. We're gonna call this good. So let me see about some questions. I don't really have any yet. The energy is finally starting to kind of settle down a little bit. I think today is quiet, but I don't think the rest of the week will be. I think there's some solar flares and other stuff. So that's why all of a sudden this afternoon, you just kind of got tired. That's why. So just make sure that you're resting today, especially tonight. Most of us will have a better night's sleep anyway. So should be a little easier. Let's see here. To be an empath, must you feel somebody else's pain, like a broken ankle? No, but a very high empath will feel pain. It's kind of like, oh, my knee hurts. And an empath's like, oh yeah, your knee does hurt, because they can actually feel kind of a tinge in their knee. So yeah, a higher empath will absolutely physically feel that pain. That's what makes it really confusing sometimes for an empath, because they're like, am I unhappy or are you unhappy? Or like, I don't know if I'm unhappy, but I might be feeling your stuff because I was happy a minute ago. Now I'm not. So sometimes it's actually their energy that you're picking up on, and that's really what you're feeling. So let's see. I'm not seeing 11:11 or waking up at 3 anymore. That's okay. I haven't either, Deb. So when I'm going to bed at night for the last 3 nights, I have been down. Like I've been sleeping almost 8 hours a night, which is kind of unusual for me too. So normally when you're enlightened, you sleep 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours. That doesn't mean that I'm any less spiritual or anything. It's just that means that I need to rest. So don't, if you're not waking up in the middle of the night, that's a-okay. I have been dreaming really crazy. I haven't been able to talk to anybody else. So I don't know if you guys have been either, but man, I've really been dreaming pretty batshit crazy here lately. So let's see. How do we find out what our soul contract is, Neuro? It's actually, you just kind of meditate on it. I know that sounds simple, but it's true. You'll start to be seeing a theme that you just can't quite seem to get right. So mine was my love life in this life. So sometimes it's family, sometimes it's you as an individual, sometimes it is you trying to figure out who you are because you're maybe gay, straight, or bi. It could be, issues with career and job and money. There's all different avenues of what you would choose to struggle with coming into this life. And everybody will struggle with one thing. So, but your job is to try to learn how to master it while you're here, which isn't easy to do. So, because right when you think you got it figured out, God's like, oh, okay, let's just give you a test and see if you can really figure it out this time. And you're like, so not easy. If a person is spiritually enlightened in this life and reincarnated in another life, would you have to relearn everything again? Not necessarily. It depends. It depends on if you incarnate back to Earth again or not. If you incarnate to a different dimension or different realm or different galaxy, well, then no. So usually though, however, like when you become enlightened in this life, you're remembering all your previous lives, or at least key factors in your previous lives that all of a sudden just pop in your head. You're like, oh, I already knew that, but I don't know how I knew that. So, but usually if you're going to be coming back around the bend again here on Earth, you're born enlightened. You're born remembering, but the energy back when we were kids was a lot thicker. and harder to be able to remember. Now it's getting easier. That's why these kids nowadays are like, oh yeah, I remember my previous lives. It's no big deal. And we're all like, I don't remember mine. But they are able to remember theirs because the energy here, the vibrationally speaking, is a little bit higher now. So it's easier for them to. Laying in bed, eyes closed, saw a door outlined white light, spotlight illuminating around the area. What does this mean? Oh, Hillary, that's actually a good thing. That is spirit. That's their door. And it looks just like a door. And when the door opens, it's bright white light and there's usually stairs. 9 times out of 10, that's usually when a loved one is going to come in and say hi, or it could be a spirit guide introducing themselves. But that's really like the door to the other side. That's kind of the veil, so to speak. So a lot of times you'll see a door in dreams, and if it's got that light behind it, 9 times out of 10 for me personally, it's been my loved ones coming in to kind of let me know, hey, what's up, or keep going, or something along those lines. Other times it was my spirit guide coming through, and I'm like, oh, are you again? So let's see. If I had to pick just one crystal to carry throughout the day, which would it be? That's easy, clear quartz. And the reason why I like clear quartz is you can program it to do whatever you want. So clear quartz is the clearest, best vibe. And also it's programmable, meaning that you can just hold that crystal, tell the crystal what you want it to do, and it will do just that. It will hold the energy that you put into it. So if I had to pick one, it'd be that all the way. Sleep paralysis has been crazy. Yeah, last night I was dreaming, and right at the end of my dream, I saw a clock or a watch, which is my sign to get my butt back into my body before I wake up. Otherwise, if I don't, I'll have that paralyzing type stuff. So absolutely. Let's see. Does everybody have past lives? Yep, absolutely. I shouldn't say that. There are some new kids coming in, the true rainbow children that are coming in. They don't have previous lives here on Earth. But our generation, like, we do. Let's see here. Good crystals to get a toddler to eat better. Catherine, actually, a blue apatite would be excellent. So blue apatite, sometimes jade helps too. Other ones would be like citrine or golden healer would be a good one. So, but remember, toddlers are very texture, especially sensitive kids are very texture oriented. It's not necessarily what it tastes like. It's a texture thing. And a lot of times if you put raw fruits and vegetables in front of them, they'll eat all day. They're not too keen on like hot dogs and, you know, things like that. So a lot of times, I know this sounds weird, but if you pray over your food, before you give it to your toddler, I don't know why, but usually that works really well. I didn't really do that. I mean, Stephen was a picky eater, but it wasn't until I started praying over his food before I fed it to him that he would sit there and eat it, unless it was a texture thing. So could be one of two things. But most kids are picky anyway. But if there's a lot of preservatives in them, these new kids coming around, they're like, I'm not going to eat that. So pain in the shoulders, Monica, it's because you're literally overburdened with other people's crap. So time for you to put up some more boundaries and say no, or make sure that it's even energy exchange, meaning that you help them, but they have to help you too. And if they're not willing to help you, or you're not at least getting paid for it, because that's even energy exchange too, then it's time to let go of some of their responsibilities, because those aren't your responsibilities. You're taking them on as your own. You shouldn't. Let them do it. And that includes children too. Let's see, do we have multiple lives? Many of us do, sometimes hundreds. So when you do a reading, are you talking to your spirit guide? I'm not talking to my spirit guide. I'm talking to your spirit guide. So I don't read minds. I don't want to read your mind. It's too scattered. I'm going to go right to your spirit guides, because they know what's up. They got everything on the down low, and it's a hell of a lot easier to talk to them than it is to try to read your mind. So 9 times out of 10, that's what we're doing. I'm going to talk to them. Thoughts on Skinwalker Ranch? You know, I don't know much, but, you know, the cryptid type of realm is fascinating to me. And I know that there's good ones and bad ones, obviously. I don't know much about that in particular, other than A lot of them, could be, rakes or what am I trying to think of? The other ones. I'm having a brain fart. But a lot of times, especially, I don't know why, but it seems like in that New Mexico, Arizona area, there is a lot more of like Skinwalker type things. So let's see here. Right now, Brian's asking about readings. I did retire, so my last reading won't be until next March, and I'm already booked out till next March. So what I have been doing on my Facebook page and on my website, which I haven't gotten it up yet, but I will be putting a reference page on the people that I'm recommending that you could go to for readings. Many of these are my students that I've personally taught that have not only been through the Enlightenment Academy, but that I feel that they're ready to go. So, so that I would tell you, check out those two things. I'm going to be starting tomorrow, actually posting at noon every day, something about, a psychic, a medium, a palmist, or a photography, a holistic massage place, all those different places that I would recommend. So, let's see. If a child is highly intuitive and are empathic in utero, will the mom feel those emotions? Yes, they can. There is a telepathic bond in there. Absolutely. Yes, you can. Yep. When and how did I discover my gifts? Got drunk at a party. Yeah. I was literally living in a trailer park, and just long story short, I was living in a trailer park, and I said, God, I will do whatever it takes to get me out of this situation. I don't want to raise my kids in a trailer park. I'll do whatever it takes. And at that point, I was kind of meditating quite a bit and really trying to figure my stuff out, reading a lot of self-help books. A lot of times they told me that you have to learn how to control your mind. And so I got drunk at a party, and there was a guy there, and he kept saying something about his dad being gone. And I'm thinking, my dad's been gone too, but he just kept talking all night, and I kept drinking, and he kept talking. And finally I said, I don't know why the hell you're so upset. Your dad's right behind you. He's got rainbow suspenders, a black and white label beer, and he's smoking a cigarette. I'm like, man, he was the life of the party then. He's still the life of the party now. And I turned back around, and everybody went sheet white on me. And they were like, how'd you know that? And I'm like, oh crap. This is why my dad told me to shut the hell up about this stuff. It was the next day, people were coming to me, coming to me going, hey, could you read me? And I'm like, I don't read people. I manage the garden center in small town, Nebraska. And about 3 days of that, my boss pulls me aside. He's like, listen, Kelli, you got to do something about this, because these guys are just wanting to come in and talk to you, and you got to work. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I started doing, I would put the kids to bed, and then I would have people come to my trailer. I mean, I didn't have a choice. I couldn't afford a babysitter. And so I would slowly start doing a reading a night, and then word got out. And then somebody was like, hey, could you do a party for me? I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? If I can do one, I can do a party. And then it really exploded. And it was shortly after that, maybe about 2 months, that I was driving back to the garden center, and I was like, God, angel, spirit guides, and whoever the hell else knows me up here, if I'm supposed to be a psychic medium in the Bible Belt of Nebraska, you'd better prove it. And so that day I go to Burger King, and the kid behind the counter turns around. I go inside because the line was going out to China. So I go inside, and this kid looks at me, and he goes, do you want a medium pop? And I'm like, what? And he goes, do you want a medium pop? And I'm like, yeah, I'll have a medium pop with a cheeseburger and fries. And then I get the cheeseburger and fries. I'm sitting in my car, turn on the radio, and they're talking about the Long Island medium. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And so then my phone rings. I'm heading up to go let my dog out over my lunch hour. And lady calls me up, and she says, hey, Kel, do you remember telling me to go to the doc? I'm like, yeah, because I thought she had some endometriosis or something going on. And she goes, Kelli, I had stage 2 uterine cancer. Thank you so much for telling me to go. You saved my life. And I'm like, you're welcome. And I know a long time ago, if it comes in threes, I'm going to pay attention. I immediately picked up the phone. I called my mom, and I'm like, hey, Ma, I'm going to quit my full-time salary paying job, and I'm going to do this. And she's like, for the love of God, go back to church. So it was one of those that I thought, what's the worst that could happen? I go back to working at the garden center. Who cares? So at that point, I really didn't care much about what people thought about me. I kind of got over that. So it took me, it did not take me long to just really kind of take off. So I've been very lucky to have been doing individual readings, live audience readings, and group parties for 10 years. I did it for 10 years. And so I'm to the point now to where I want to teach. That's my passion, is being able to teach the teachers so you guys can go out and help everybody else out too. So that's really where I'm at. I want to be able to write more books. I want to be able to do more videos. That's honestly really where my passion is at. And that's why I made the decision, along with my husband had to help me out with that one because it was a tough decision for me. But I decided to go ahead and retire then in May or in March of next year. So that way, like I said, I can dedicate more time to helping you guys, because I just feel that there's good leaders out there. There's a lot of bad ones too. So I just thought that maybe I would start teaching. And as a result, I have written a couple programs. Like I said, I still do different workshops, things like that as well. So that's why I'm like, I like doing that. That's fun. Let's see, Tristan, are birthmarks on the place the body where stabbed, etc.? Yes. Yes, it is. And I know it has something to do with your past life. Maybe you didn't die, but it very well could have been an injury. I find it fascinating that my husband has a birthmark on his butt, and that same exact birthmark is on his daughter on her upper hip. It's identical. It looks the same. So they even look like each other. They have their own weird language. So clearly they had a past life together. But I find that fascinating. So yes, absolutely. I do think that birthmarks are from an injury and or death from a previous life. Absolutely. Do I have any red coral? I do have red coral. I love red. Empaths really like red coral because it grounds them and it keeps their emotions in check. So red coral it's pricey. I mean, because obviously it's coral from the ocean, but it works very well. And you don't even have to hold it. You can have it next to you, like next to your bed. So do we all have spirit guides? Yes. Absolutely, yes. I have never met anybody that doesn't have one. The only exception to that rule sometimes is if you have a walk-in. And what a walk-in is, it's a rare bird. But what a walk-in is, you're living your life and then boom, you have a car accident. Your soul is like, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm done. And somebody's like going rogue, literally going rogue against the council that you meet with up here. And they're like, you know what? I got to learn this lesson. I'm in. So they take over that person's life, so to speak. They remember everything, but they still don't feel like they fit in or like they connect very well to that. And usually they don't necessarily struggle in this life, but they come in because they specifically want to learn a valuable lesson with something in this life. So but walk-ins are extremely rare. There has been 2 walk-ins that I have met that have not had spirit guides because they legit went rogue. And I find it fascinating because those people that I know of that didn't have spirit guides, they're rogue in this life. They give no shits on what anybody might say. They're going to do what they're going to do and they don't care. So I just find that fascinating. So it's a rare bird, extremely rare, like 1 out of like 2,000. So, but it does happen. So it's rare, but it does happen. Let's see. False awakening in a dream loop, lucid dreamer, super intense, stressful. I couldn't break it. Rochelle, if that's the case, sometimes it does happen with me too. If that's the case, just tell God to just stop it. Just like, okay, I'm done. God, please just shut that one down for me. He'll send the right person for the job to shut it down. Don't worry. How does a person jump timelines? The easiest way, Melissa, is to imagine it. And I know that sounds simplistic, but before you go to bed, say, God, I hereby from this point forward want to be in the best, most positive timeline that I can be in. And that's it. Some people like to do it in the shower because when they get out of the shower, it's kind of like a restart. So you could do it that way too. It really is your intent and what you say. So otherwise, there isn't necessarily a ritual that you need to do with it. I think a lot of people always think that we have to do all these different rituals to do this and this and this. I'm like, no, you don't. Just ask. Ask and you shall receive. Ask, fine. So I think a lot of people get their rituals and it makes them feel good. That's fine. But a lot of times it's not necessary. Are cardinal birds truly loved ones visiting? It's not that your loved one is a bird. It's your loved one can influence the energy of the animal to do something that's not normal. Or it could also be a possibility of a spirit animal of yours as well. So we all have spirit animals or spirit like totems. So we all have different spirit animals as well. So it could be that. But if you see it and it automatically reminds you of so-and-so, well, then so-and-so sent it. Absolutely. Andrew's like, what does seeing a single baby mourning dove indicate? It means that you're slowly becoming more and more independent because doves mate for life. So that means that you must have gotten out of a relationship and you're learning how to become more independent. That's a good sign. Can you be an empath and not realize it? Yeah, I think so. But you have to consider that on an empathic scale, like from 1 to 10, where you're at. Like a 10 is like the hospice care nurse, right? So, and I'm more like a 6 or a 7. Do I have empathy? Absolutely. But I am not going to over empathize with your issue because it's not my job to do that. It's my job to help you with your issue so we can find a solution to it or a different perspective to it. So, but if I over empathize with you and you're crying and I start crying, it lowers my vibration, taps me out, and I can't do my job. So I've had to learn that when I do my individual readings, I have to kind of close down my heart chakra a little bit. So that way I'm not empathizing with you. So again, it depends on the scale. It depends on how big of an empath you are. Where does heaven begin? That's a hard one because it's like 2.5, 3 foot away from you. So the veil is right there. It's not very far. So when I see your dead people, they're usually about 3 foot right behind you. And then sometimes I'll ask them to come in a little bit closer so I can see them better. So it's not that far away. I think people like to think that heaven is some far off galaxy. I'm like, no, it's not. But you got to remember, we're talking quantum fields. We're not talking linear. We're talking quantum. Spiritual reason behind low blood platelets, Stephanie, lack of joy, happiness. You're working too hard. Everything's work, 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 no play. And if you are playing, you're thinking about work. Or that you feel that if you don't go to work and you're not the one at work, that everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket. So time for some fun. Get a vacation. So, and leave the phone behind and go play. Be childlike. Don't forget to be childlike. That is the one thing a Buddhist monk told me one time. And that's the only thing he told me. He goes, just don't forget to remain childlike. And at the time, I didn't understand it. I get it now. I mean, as a matter of fact, as soon as we're done here, Eric and I, we're going to jump on our scooters that go no more than 40 miles an hour. And we're going to go get some ice cream and it's going to be fun. So those little tiny things really do help you to kind of tap out of being an adult and your responsibilities. And you need to do that. Okay. So get your breaks in, girl. You're working too much. What does it mean spiritually when a woman has a miscarriage? There's a lot of different reasons. 9 times out of 10, it's your body going, something's not right, and we have to let it go. Other times it's because maybe a soul decided to incarnate, was like, I'm out, and they decided to leave. So there's a lot of different reasons. Rarely is it the mother's fault. That's such a rare bird. Rarely is it the mother's fault that something would happen. So 9 times out of 10, usually it's an abnormality with the fetus and the body is like, something's not right. I got to let it go. Another thing, like I said, it could be hormonal too. There's a lot of different reasons though. Crystals for surgery recovery. Oh, wow, I'm drawing a blank. Hang on one second. Babe, what are the best crystals for recovery and surgery? Well, that's a good question. Natalie, what kind of surgery we're at? That's a valid question. So, can you touch on the Cern Hadron Collider event? I've been telling people, just the biggest thing is that this is out of your control. There ain't a damn thing you can do about it. The only thing you can do is adjust your vibration to the highest possible frequency that you can. And then therefore, as a collective, with all of us raising our vibration at a very high vibration, it will, if they're going to mess with a timeline, it's going to put us in the best timeline possible. And remember, law of attraction is still at play. So you should know what you want out of life. You should know your goals. You should be envisioning feeling? What does it look like? What does it smell like? What does it feel like to already have it? That's how to get what it is that you want. A lot of people think that you have to work really hard and do all these things. I'm like, you really don't. Yes, you need to take a step forward and do the action, but if your job is not worried about how or when, that's spirit's job to bring you to the doorstep of that. So that's their job. So it's your job to imagine what it's like to already have it. That's it. It sounds simple. Keep spiritual stuff simple. Keep it simple. It works if it's simple. Stomach. Okay, so I would say Golden Healer, number one. The other one would be Citrine, Natalie, and the other one would be probably gold rutile, or like it's clear quartz with gold strips in it. So it'd be the golden rutile quartz. That'd be the other one. Let's see. Reason for acid reflux, Catherine. It's literally things that around you you're having trouble stomaching. So usually I see people with acid reflux watch the TV too much, especially the news. Don't do that. Let's see here. I talk to myself all the time. Am I talking to my spirit guides? Yes, Kelly, you are. So I feel like I have internal conversations in my head 24/7. And no, it's not my ADHD. So because I will literally have a conversation in my head, and then my ego or my logic goes, did I just have a damn conversation with myself? I'm like, no, I just had a conversation with them. So I'm the same as you. I say things out loud because I don't want my brain to go and just go speeding off somewhere. So a lot of times if I'm talking to myself out loud, it slows my brain down so I can think a little bit slower. Crystals for migraines. Migraines is a perfectionism issue. You're always trying to control and be perfect. And amethyst is going to be awesome for that. So is like Sharo white. Any of those purple type crystals are going to be really good for that. I heard my name, was told to wake up. Would it be a spirit guide? Heck yeah, that's a spirit guide, 110%. 110%. Alcohol addiction advice, Tessa, that's an abandonment issue with men usually. So the biggest thing is that I never blame addicts. It's a trauma response. You're trying to cope with something that really, truly hurts, and you don't quite know what it is. And so if it's a woman, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be an abandonment issue. Your dad left, and then mom died, and then your husband left you, and it just feels like everybody leaves you. And so that would be your Achilles heel in this life, is abandonment. Like I said, mine's my love life, yours is abandonment. And so the best thing I can tell you is you know what, let's get a counselor in there, because this is going to take a step-by-step thing for you to do. This is not going to be an overnight fix, but at least if you know what your core issue is, abandonment, if you know what that is, then we can start working on that. We can start working on those triggers and why you feel triggered. So anything that can be done to help ALS. I will tell you, I like a book called The Medical Medium, because he is really good when it comes to autoimmune diseases, because ALS to me is autoimmune. And some things that we can do to help slow it down within the body. Okay. And usually I find that people that have ALS are the mama hens of the group. And they're always like, I'm fine. Don't look at me. Let me help you. Let me help you. And then they get ALS and they're forced to rely on other people for help, and they hate it. And they just hate it. So it kind of reverses everything. So I would tell you, like I said, Medical Medium book, that's got some great information in there that I think that would really resonate. How to spiritually help with glaucoma. Brianna, a lot of times that is you not wanting to like own or admit what's right in front of you. For instance, let me give you an example. So it's like if a mom has an issue with glaucoma, and she has a daughter who, wants to, she's a she, but wants to transform into a he. And the mom's like, oh, it's just a phase. Oh, it's just a phase. I'm like, really? Because she's getting gender transformation surgery done. And you're telling me that's still a phase? Like they don't want to see the problem or admit something's wrong or fault. That's blatantly obvious right in front of them. So that's a lot of times where the glaucoma comes in, is that you just don't want to see it. So, but that's where I'm like, and 9 times out of 10, if a woman has it, it's going to be related to their children. I've really found that pattern. So, because you can't control your kids, you can't. Once they turn like 18, 19, they are on their own. They are absolutely on their own. So what does a praying mantis symbolize? So I have a praying mantis for my spirit animal. And whenever I see the praying mantis and it's like literally in my face, that is spirit's way of saying I need to slow down and take a break. So after a pet passes, does their spirit stay with us? Yes. Just like a human. Absolutely yes. Uh-huh. Yep. And I'll tell you, there is a lady, her name is Cindy Downing. It's Whisper in My Ear is the name of her business. She is a wonderful animal communicator. Can I do it? Yes, but not like her. She's amazing. So I would recommend that you maybe go check her out because she's a wonderful animal communicator. Let's see. Physically ill when seeing snakes, reason. Ooh, Natalie, I'm going to say that's a previous life. I'm going to say that you very well could have been bitten by a snake in a previous life and died. Absolutely. So, yep. How do we find a good therapist? One who is like us. They're coming out. There's more and more coming out. I do your research, but you can absolutely ask them, hey, you don't happen to see 1111, do you? And if they say yes, they're enlightened. So, let's see here. Pets reincarnate? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So the dog I had growing up, that dog's name was Spud. And then after I got my divorce, and he died when I was like 17. And then when I had my 2 kids and I got a divorce, I decided to adopt a dog. It was the same. It was a different breed, different sex. That was my dog. It was the same dog. And I expect that one to come around one more time. So yeah, absolutely. Spiders generally work well with. They get started in my bed, personal space. Spiders, a lot of times, if they don't bug you, sometimes spiders have to do with an issue with your mother or an issue that you're trying to work out with your mom. So sometimes that's where that one might come into if you're seeing them a lot. Guessing glaucoma would be from a nasty childhood I didn't want to see. That's right, Sue Ellen. And I will tell you, that's where the counseling comes in, because we need to slowly go back, because if you don't, it's kind of like, oh, I'm just going to forget it. I'm just not going to. But what happens is in your real life is that you get triggered by things that normal people wouldn't get triggered by, and you go over the rails with it. And a lot of times, like I said, that is all about, like the childhood trauma or something with children. And so that's where, like I said, we got to work through those trauma issues and things like that. That, like I said, that shit's work. Okay, that stuff is work. That is the stuff that is really difficult. Everybody's like, oh, I'm going through the dark night. I'm like, just because you get a divorce and you move or you quit a job and get a new one, that's not the dark night. The dark night is when you're sitting down, looking at your childhood trauma and literally taking it all out and putting it on the counter and go, okay, let's unpack this crap and let's really start figuring my crap out. That shit's work. That stuff hurts. It absolutely hurts. And most people in this lifetime will avoid it like the plague. But I'm telling you, if you want true enlightenment, true happiness, and you really want that, then you got to walk through the mud. That's why they say no mud, no lotus. There's a reason. I too had to do it. I had to walk through that crap too. It's not easy. It's not. And I really am so proud of the people that are really having to go through it. So, but that's the point of going through awakening, is to let go of the old school you and all those old traumas and the way that you respond to those traumas, so you can become literally this new person. So, like I said, not easy work. Not easy work. Going deaf one ear all of a sudden, depends on which side. So I need to know which side your ear is starting to go deaf on. That matters. Let's see. Knee pain, locking weight, can't put it on. Heather, I'm guessing that you're at a stage 3 of your enlightenment. That's really common. So let me see. I need to know which knee though, because that helps. or you can't put weight on it. Yeah, like I said, I need to know which knee. So, because that will tell me, that will help to determine what you're having, what type of fear you're having, because knee pain is fear. It's a form of anxiety. Anxiety is fear. You're fearing of the fact that you don't want to step forward with something. Long-term memory disorder, not dementia. Tracy, make sure that you are good on your like micronutrients. I know that sounds weird. Just make sure that you're good on your micronutrients, and then make sure that you're also getting enough oxygen. I know that sounds weird, but you want enough oxygen in that brain to really get it stimulated. Sometimes memory stuff is related to people with, you know, ADD, ADHD, or autism as well. So it just makes us more neurodivergent. So left knee. So if it's the left knee, then that means to tell me that you are really kind of stubborn or fearful to open up your spiritual gifts or to dip your toe into that creativity, because you're like, I'm not creative. And I'm like, Pinterest is your friend. So just because you weren't good in art in 3rd grade doesn't mean that you won't be good now. So Pinterest, especially with like doing interior things to make your house look better, that's really going to help. So if it's your right knee, it's because you're scared to move forward with a different job because you don't like it, or within a relationship, like I got to leave this relationship and I don't want to, but I need to. So that's the right knee pain. Is now a good time to take a leap and massive change? Damn Skippy. Damn Skippy. Yep, it actually is really good timing, because if you're going to rock the boat, June and July is a great month to do it, because here comes August and September. And it's kind of like, if we don't rock the boat, it might get rocked for us, which is fine either way. It's just easier if we do it. How to help ADHD dyslexic son who hates school. Oh my gosh, I feel for him, Ashley. I do too. Oh, I was that kid. My daughter was that kid, and I got her to graduate by the skin of her ass, but by God, I got it. So what I would tell you, Ashley, is get fire quartz. Fire quartz is excellent to help with ADHD and that dyslexia. Same with rainbow fluorite. Those two combined would work really well for him. But you have to understand, he learns a different way. He's not going to learn traditionally. We learn untraditionally. Flashcards are awesome for us. We like doing flashcards because we can remember it. We don't like mundane and boring. If you can get us to teach, but if you could teach us, but teach us faster, we're in. We're going to watch. When I listen to audiobooks, I have to have them go 2 times or 2.5 times, because listening to somebody talk like that, I can't. Squirrel, I'm out. So if you can, audiobooks are excellent, but don't be afraid to speed it up. We'll pay attention better that way. So I know that sounds so strange, but it really does work. But the biggest thing is, like I said, try to make it as fun as you possibly can. And like I said, as quick. So flashcards are awesome. And then the last thing that really helped me and my daughter was doing the dot method. So like, you know how you have a die, like dice die, 2 has 2 dots, 3 has 3 dots, 4 has 4 dots, 5 has 5 dots. I really learned how to add, subtract, multiply with dots. So that was another one that really resonated with me. So what I would tell you is try to do as much as you can at home, as long as it's fun, and not immediately after school, because we are done. Like, we need a freaking break. So try to get us at a good time. Maybe, like I said, 7 p.m., something along those lines. So father abandonment in males, what does that look like? If it's not alcoholism, they're usually very angry. Anger is usually the #1 abandonment issue with boys. Anxiety has gotten uncontrollable. How do I get it back into control? Alicia, I would tell you, figure out what you can eliminate off your plate. You got way too much going on, girl. And I'll tell you what, pick 3 things that need to get done tomorrow. Just 3 things. And do those 3 things, because if you do 4 things or even 5 things, you are going to feel like a winner, instead of always feeling like behind and you can't get anything done and things like that. So just pick 3 things that you need to get done tomorrow. And if nothing else gets done, Cool. So the other thing is that you're trying to control things that you have no control over. So I want you to learn how to meditate, and you're going to find that that's going to be very difficult. And so because you ain't going to get your mind to sit still. I want you to be able to sit still for 10 minutes and do nothing. Just be bored. So you start doing that. It's really going to help you with the anxiety. It really will. Just sit there, no phone, no TV, no nothing. Just stare outside. That's fine. But 10 minutes. You're going to see that that's really going to start to help. Let's see. Had a dream, handed a pendant with an owl feather and a dragon underneath. Those very well could be, look up the spiritual meanings behind those and see if they resonate with you. So I bet they might. So that combination, it basically is your spirit guides telling you kind of that you're ready to go. So yeah, meditate, meditate, meditate. You guys are going to get sick of me hearing that, but I'm telling you, my life changed when I started meditating. And like I said, I have ADHD, diagnosed, all the whole gamut. And I will tell you that when I learned how to meditate, and it took me 1.5 years, don't get me wrong. But once I learned, my entire world changed literally overnight. I mean, within 10 years, I went from living in a trailer park to having a beautiful home. My soulmate is here. My kids are happy and healthy. I've got money in the bank. I got no debt. I'm so grateful and so happy. And all I did different was meditate. That's it. That's it. Crystals to stop smoking. Natalie, the best ones are going to be Botswana agate, smoky quartz, and amethyst. Those combinations would be excellent. Microdosing with mushrooms, love. Been doing it. So, yep. I think actually microdosing with mushrooms is really good for those with depression. So do your research. I'm not a doctor, can't say that, but you know what I mean. So that might be something you may want to look into, especially those, like I said, that have depression. Sparkles in the air. Is that energy? It is, Annie. And not only that, that is your clairvoyance beginning to really kind of get turned up. That's a good sign. Crystals to stop drinking, same. It's still going to be that Botswana agate. It's going to be amethyst and smoky quartz. Let's see here. Is there a meditation for beginners? Yep, I wrote a book. It's called 10 to Zen, but you'll have to get it through Awakenings, because right now it's suspended on Amazon because I got to do some tweaking. Because the link that I use for my meditation it's not linked correctly. So Amazon's like, we kind of put a kibosh on it. So I have to fix that on Amazon. I finally got the information for it. So I'm going to be doing that tomorrow. So if you get it through Awakenings, like I said, it's called 10 to Zen. They're downloadable iTunes that you can, download, no problem. Is there anything you can do to help your unborn child be spiritual? No, Rochelle, that kid's going to teach you. Because the kids coming in now are going to teach you how to be more spiritual and more childlike. Your job is to teach them reality and what reality really is, and to prepare them for reality. That's going to be your job. So I'm like, you don't have to worry about them being spiritual. Their job is to teach you. So won't be an issue, because once they're born enlightened. They're born that way. So, and they won't tap out like we did. They don't have to go through an awakening. They're born enlightened. They're born awoke. They're born that way. Don't have to sweat it. Nah. Best aromatherapy for anxiety, lavender. Lavender, chamomile is really good. Lang Lang isn't too bad either. After meditation, felt the need to tell my 15-year-old daughter she needs to work on her third eye and heart chakra. What is that? That's most likely one of her spirit guides coming through to talk to you. Be like, hey, mama. So every once in a while, I don't get a lot of info on my kids, but every once in a while I'll get one, and I think it's from one of their spirit guides. Rare bird though, doesn't happen, but boy, when it does, I'm like, hey. How do you encourage someone to become enlightened? You can't. It has to happen on their timeline when their soul is ready, and you can't make somebody go through a spiritual awakening. The best thing you can do is vibrate as high as you possibly can around them, because it just might trip them into a spiritual awakening. But we can't ever force or make anybody to do that. I wish we could, trust me, but No, your job is just vibe high around that person, and they'll trip into it eventually, but it just takes time. It takes some time, but it's only when their soul is ready. What does it mean when you constantly see angel numbers? Well, welcome to the club, Alicia. You will see replicating numbers every day for the rest of your life. So that's normal. That's normal for enlightened people, I guess I should say. So, but yeah, you will. I've saw 8s all day today. Like I only went out once today to go grab some stuff. I saw 8 3 different times. So I'm like, all right, I got it. What happens to those souls that never awaken? They just reincarnate again and come back around and try it again. Yay. So seeing number 6 a lot. So 6s mean that you are worried way too much about money. You're worried, you're focusing your attention on the lack of money. So when you see 6, 6, 11, things like that. So that means that you are focused in on the lack of money instead of focusing in on what you want, what money that you want. You're focusing on the lack of, not the abundance of. Let's see here. What does it mean if you see a flash of purple with your eyes closed? Hillary, that means that your clairvoyance is officially turned on. So pretty soon, once you see the purple lava lampy looking things, pretty soon after that, you'll start to see what looks like shapes, especially the all-seeing eye, but you might see like a dodecahedron, a triangle, different spiritual shapes. And then after that, you might see like what looks like legs walking or faces or things like that. So that just means to tell me that your clairvoyance is officially turned on. Yay. It doesn't mean that you're going to see dead people, though. Everybody, I think people assume that when you get these clairs or your abilities turned on, that you're going to have like this miraculous, oh my God. I'm like, you don't. It's subtle. Everything I notice is subtle. So take the subtleties as a sign, but it's really hard because you're like, I saw that. And then your brain's like, yeah, but did you really see that? So that's what makes it really confusing. So your intuition is way faster than your logic can comprehend. So if you ask a question, did I see that? Did I hear that? Did that just happen? I guarantee you that's intuitively led. That is from spirit. That is not your ego or your logic. Your imagination is your intuition. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I can't split the two of them apart. That's why I'm like, because when you're enlightened, you don't have imagination anymore. You have intuition. Let's see. What does it mean when you are seeing pennies on the ground all the time? Christine, usually that's from a loved one. So 9 times out of 10, that's usually from a grandparent of sorts or a mother, father, something like that. Spiritual reason for psoriasis. There's 2 reasons. One, Brianna, because 1, you don't feel comfortable in your own skin. And 2, it's a weird work issue. I know that sounds weird, but you're overworked and you're like, I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to do this because if I don't do this, the responsibility's on me and I have to. I'm like, no, the responsibility's not on you. Number 2, delegate some shit. Ladies especially have an extremely difficult time delegating. Delegate. Let's see here. How do I know if I'm enlightened? If I don't annoy the shit out of you, then you're enlightened. So otherwise, unenlightened people, I irritate them very easy and they don't know why. They don't like me. They try to, but they're like, I don't like you. And I'm like, it's okay. I forgive you. You don't know any better. It's fine. Son is a night owl. Way to fix his sleeping habits. Outbursts with things don't go his way. Been diagnosed with ADHD and autism. You know, Lizzie, I will tell you, routine is absolutely key for kids that are neurodivergent like that. They have to know what's coming. They have to know what's expected. They like routine. And so the biggest thing is that if you get them off on their routine by 10 minutes, they're going to freak. So biggest thing I can tell you is routine is key, but I still want you to introduce new things so they don't get riddled with anxiety on stuff like that. So, but like I said, routine is absolutely key with that. And I know in summertime, we like to let our kids kind of do their own thing, but usually about 2 weeks before school starts, I kick the routine in. I mean, my son's 17 and I'm like, you ain't staying up till 3 a.m, son. So we start going to like 1 and then midnight. And so then we start working on the sleep pattern. So I usually start doing that about 2.5 weeks before school starts, which is going to be coming around the bend here pretty quick. Let's see here. Been seeing 611, 911, lots of numbers in 11 meeting. Aaron, it just means that those are two combinations of numbers. So if you're seeing 611, it means that you're focused in on the lack of money. If you're seeing 911, it means that you're not paying attention to your spirituality. So it just means the combination of the 9 and the 1 together. So that's what that one is. Is the world going to get better with prices? Yes and no. I mean, it's slowly, I don't think it's going to be all kooky and crazy like people are saying. I really don't. So, getting mixed messages with interpretation off when spirit, is it okay to ask for specific signs to be shown to you? Yes. But it's no different than I was saying earlier in my story. Okay, God, if I'm supposed to be a psychic medium, prove it. Show me 3 signs. I want to see them. So, and the minute you see one, you're like, I saw it. I got it. There's 1. So, and then I'm like, okay, there's 2. I'll always acknowledge to spirit when I see it. So that way they know that I got it and we're on the same page. So, let's see here. Health issues, gut, blood pressure, bloating, fluid. Gee, good Lord. So that if I would tell you it's M blessing. I would tell you, it sounds to me like you are feeling like you're in the pit of hell. So people around you aren't happy. You're not happy. Your job probably sucks. You're probably not liking where you're living at. So this would be one of those times to lay all the cards on the table and go, okay, self, screw money, screw education, screw what my family has to say. What do I want with my life? What are my goals, ambitions, and dreams? It's kind of a check-in. And that's what I've been saying this week, especially early this week, is all about checking in with yourself. Are you where you want to be? Are you working towards where you want to be? Or are you paying attention to something clear the hell over here that has nothing to do with where you want to go? So, like I said, if you're having health issues, that means to tell me that you're just not happy at all. So it's time for you to be happy and not self-sacrifice for other people. They can wait. And if they have a problem with it, it's their problem. Don't make it yours. Don't. Easier said than done. I'm fully aware of that. But no, I tell my kids this all the time. An emergency on your part does not make it one on mine. So if you fail to prepare and get ready, that doesn't make it an emergency on my part. That's all on you. So I'm not going to drop what I'm doing to help you out if you failed to prepare and you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So that goes with family too. Right side, body aches, different places. The right side has everything to do with either issues with your dad, with masculine energy. So either you're being too girly and you need to pull into some more masculine energy, or you're dealing with a husband and his shit, or you're dealing with, the way that your dad treated you, or having to deal with dad. Right side is always masculine. It always has to do with a father or a husband, could be a brother maybe. So anything along those lines. Should I charge my crystals Wednesday night? I highly suggest you do. The moon is going to be the closest to Earth all year long. So Wednesday, we're going to have a super full moon, which is absolutely going to kick up people's emotions. But it is going to be amazing for cleansing and charging those crystals. That's why I like to put crystals out in full moons, because it cleanses and it charges. So, and don't forget your earrings, don't forget rings, don't forget necklaces. So make sure you charge your crystals. And literally I have this huge cake pan, and I put all my crystals in the cake pan. I throw it outside. Now, if it's going to rain, I just put it by my window. So even if it's cloudy, it will still charge. Don't have to worry about it. The only thing is that, like I said, when I get my earrings, I'm like, I don't want them out in the water. So, but usually, like I said, that's where it's at. So, hematoma in pregnancy. Somebody else is saying subchronic hemorrhage in pregnancy. A lot of times that is a lot of either fear with pregnancy, or that you're not happy that you're pregnant. Maybe it's not going as that you were expecting it to go. I will tell you, I was miserable in my pregnancies. Everybody's like, oh, I loved being pregnant. I did not like it at all. Not only that, I was highly intuitive, and everything really got turned on ×4. So I did not enjoy my pregnancies. I didn't. So I know some ladies love them, and I'm like, not it. So that was a weird expectation of mine as well. Bunion, right foot. Oh, Andrea, that's stubbornness. That's usually stubbornness, and usually stubbornness within a relationship. 9 times out of 10, that's where that one's at. So, does sunlight do to crystals? No, you can actually cleanse crystals in sunlight, but there's certain crystals you don't want in UV light in sunlight, like citrine, amethyst, things like that. It'll fade. Rose quartz is another one. So, I mean, you sure could, but sticking them out in the moonlight's better. Is twin flame a real thing? It is for rainbow children, not for us. We're not going to find a twin flame in this life. And I hate people use that word just willy-nilly. And I'm like, that's a big deal. And that's reserved for those rainbow children. We probably are not going to find our twin flame here. We may find a soulmate. But I've described this earlier that, you've never been enlightened before. And when you meet a man, as a woman, when you meet a man who's enlightened, it is a different feel. It's a different energy. But that doesn't mean that that's a twin flame. It just means that that person's enlightened, you're enlightened, and vibrationally, you guys are in sync. That doesn't mean that somebody else's husband is your twin flame. So, or that you meet this person and then all of a sudden they're like, I'm out, and they leave, and the other girl's like, oh, I'm not going to date anybody because I've met my twin flame and that's who he is, and I'm just going to wait. I'm like, you're going to wait forever for somebody who doesn't even know that you exist. So it doesn't make sense. So that's why I'm like going, no, we won't meet twin flames in our lifetime. That's more reserved for the rainbow kids there. Yeah, I didn't determine pregnancy either. I didn't. So how do you know if your child is a rainbow child? Oh, you know it. They are wise beyond their years. They're not sensitive, but the way that they speak is old. They're not old souls because they're new souls, but they speak very wisely. I guess I would say that. Another thing is that they really are able to kind of speak to the other side fairly easy. They're natural healers, and they're extremely picky with food. They usually rarely will eat any like meat because they know that was a living animal, and they're like, I'm not going to eat that. So, and rainbow kids usually I have big eyes. Rainbow kids have huge eyes. And when they look at you, especially rainbow kids, when they look at me, the first thing they do is they'll lock eyes with me, and then they'll look at my third eye, then they look at my crown, and then they go back to here. And I am like, and at that point, they already have me read. And they have me read from all previous lives, and they know what my job or my mission is here to do. And they know that I'm on their side. And so they always look at me, and then they'll do this, and they'll do a weird little head nod, like, I got you. And I'm like, creepy. I mean, they make me feel naked, because I honestly feel really naked when they look at me like that. And they're not doing it rudely. They're doing it to acknowledge you and say, hey, we're on the same team. Thanks for leading. And I'm like, you're welcome, but would you hurry up? Because I need help. I'm like, hurry up. But don't look at me like that. It's weird. So, but it's just because they literally are looking into my soul. That's what they're doing. 5-year-old calls crystal alien eggs and a bat fell over. It's great. Ask your 5-year-old what planet they're from. They might tell you. A lot of them are going to be Palladian, maybe Syrian, maybe Arcturian. So there's a lot of different ones, but you can ask them what planet they're from, and they'll tell you. I mean, they'll tell you point blank. Or you'll say, what planet are you from? They're like, I don't know. And then like 3 days later, they're like, oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm Syrian. And you're like, oh, nice. So then you do your research on that. Spiritual reasons for skin issues down there. Carolyn, a lot of times that you don't feel confident when it comes to your sexuality. Many times when I see skin issues down there, Carolyn, that we've had some sort of bad trauma as a child being sexually molested or raped. So, and that would be a trauma response because of it. Let's see. How do you know if you have a purpose here? It takes a while to learn your purpose, by the way. Be patient with that. You have to be at the end of your stage 4 to figure out what your purpose is. So, but I'll tell you what, sometimes it's ever evolving. So I started out doing paranormal research. Then I went into Reiki. Then I became a Reiki master. Then I was a psychic medium. Now I'm becoming a teacher. So sometimes it's ever evolving. It's just not one shot and done. Okay. So, but I'll tell you, when it hits you, you'll know it. You're just like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'll do that. Then you just do that. So, and you might do it for a while and then switch gears. But I don't think I'd be the teacher that I am or understand energy the way that I do if I hadn't done those steps first. And I tell people all the time, it's not the goal is not to figure out what your purpose is. The goal is to learn all that information until you learn your purpose, because all the information that you're learning is just as important as figuring out what your purpose is. It really is. My 6-year-old keeps asking what spirit is in the crystal, and he picks it up. What's the spirit's name? Ask him. He be like, I don't know. You tell me. They'll tell you. Like I said, and it's hard for a 6-year-old to explain to you what they mean. So maybe see if we can play with different words until you can understand what he's trying to throw down. Do I recommend regular Reiki sessions? I do. I will tell you minimal. I get them 4 times, about every 3 months. And even though I know how to control my own chakra system, even though I understand the emotions behind it, there is nothing wrong with getting a little fluff and buff once in a while. Just kind of getting everything realigned, get that auric field all nice and cleaned up. So that really does help a lot. So I honestly get it done at least 4 times a year. If I'm feeling really off, I'll just go in. So, but yeah, I probably go about 4 times a year. I do teach Reiki as well. I think my next Reiki class, if I remember right, at the end of October. So, so if you guys are interested in taking Reiki or anything like that, like I said, I do offer those classes. And what's nice is that you can do it. You can become a Reiki master in a weekend. So if that's something that you're interested, cool, look into it. It's on my website, psychickelli.com. Advice for the dependable one in the family: make sure that you have Brianna, make sure that you have boundaries. So make sure that you don't put yourself dead last. You put yourself first, and they come in second. And I know that sounds really kind of selfish, but in order for you to be happy, I'm sorry, you're here to live this life for you, not for other people. Yes, we're here to help people. I understand that, but not at the expense of your own energy or your happiness. Okay? Boundaries are a must. And remember, like I said, my kid's 17 years old. Yeah, he depends on me, but he can make his own damn sandwich too. So, and that won't hurt him any. So, like I said, I have no problem putting up boundaries. And I think especially when it comes to family, boundaries are the hardest when it comes to family, because in our society, we're always told that we have to be there for our family. And no matter how bad they are, they're still family. Nope, sorry, disagree with that. Nope. If you got a bipolar narcissistic mother who's unenlightened and refuses to listen to you and what you may need to strengthen the relationship, then a boundary needs to be put down. Absolutely. Boundaries are a must. They absolutely are, because we're not keeping them out. We're not keeping them out. We're protecting our energy by putting up a boundary. That means that when they call, you don't have to answer the phone. It can ring. It can ring. So, and if they have a problem, again, it's their problem. So you don't have to do everything that they want you to do, because half the time, let's be real, they're just lazy. They're either lazy or they're highly manipulative, and you were raised with a guilty conscience and they know how to play on that guilt. So, but your job is to say, nope, sorry, I can't today. My kids need me. So whatever excuse. I'll do one more question here. Lower back pain, that is lack of financial support. So usually when I see people with a lower back pain, it's because they don't like their job, and they're doing a job because of the money and the insurance, not because it has anything to do with their life purpose. They don't like their job. So I'm like, switch your job. And a lot of people are like, well, I just can't do that. I'm like, well, yeah, you can. You've never applied. So brush up the resume. Let's apply elsewhere. What are you out? An interview? You're not out anything but an interview. So I know I'm so excited because I get to go to Dairy Chef. We're going to take our scooters. We're going to go to Dairy Chef, and they have lactate-free ice cream. So I'm very lactose intolerant. And you'll see, the higher you vibe, the more food allergies that you're going to have. Oh, it's fun. So, but they have lactate-free ice cream, and I'm so excited. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm doing another Q&A, I believe, on Thursday. So I'm doing another Q&A on Thursday evening. That one's going to be on the Facebook channel. So if you have anything else that might pop up between now and then, be sure to join me there on Facebook for a Q&A there. Like I said, I will be doing a Q&A every week on some different platform or not. So to try to keep up with me, it's best to go ahead and sign up for my newsletter. You can find that on my website at psychickelli.com. It's at the very bottom of the page there. So I usually do one, if I get there, to be honest with you. I'll try to do one newsletter a week. If I can remember, usually it's been like once every 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks when I can remember to get it done. So, all right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful week ahead. Like I said, if you're going to rock the boat, make some serious changes, perfect time to do it. But make sure that you rest and relax. Wednesday is going to bring up a little bit more drama. So if you got any issues that are kind of underlying, get them out now. All right, guys, take care. Bye. Thanks for watching.